The Bible can be pretty blunt and harsh at times. At least it seems that way to us when we read it. The passage that I'm looking at today is one of those examples. It's in Psalm 94 in verses 7 to 11, where it says, "They say the Lord doesn't see it, the God of Jacob doesn't pay attention." Here we see people that have the attitude they're doing evil things, they're doing terrible things, horrible things, and they have the attitude that God doesn't see it. God doesn't know what they're doing. He says God's not even paying attention. They have the attitude that God just started the world and then just sits back doing whatever, but not paying attention to what's going on, especially the individual people. But the psalmist responds to that by saying, "Pay attention, you stupid people, fools. When will you be wise?" You see, that's what I was saying. The Bible can be very, very blunt. The psalmist is very blunt here. The psalmist uses some very harsh words. He calls these people stupid. My parents taught me you're not supposed to talk to people that way, but the psalmist calls these people stupid that have this attitude. He calls them fools. These are very, very derogatory terms. This is very harsh. He goes, "When will you be wise?" He's basically saying here, wake up. You need to get back to reality. When will you be wise? When are you going to understand? When are you going to see things the right way? And he goes on to explain. Can the one who shaped the ear not hear? Can the one who formed the eye not see? It's like he can't even believe that they would have the attitude that the person that formed them, the person that created them, the person that put them here, would not be able to see what's going on or hear what's going on. Would just kind of just be out in space somewhere, not knowing what's going on. He's like, what? I can't really believe this. He goes on to say, the one who instructs the nations, the one who teaches man knowledge, does he not discipline? He said, you think that this God, the person that created you, the person that put you here, the person that keeps you alive, doesn't know what's going on? He's not going to He's not going to do anything about this. He's just going to let it go. The psalmist is you get the idea that he doesn't hardly believe what's going on here. That people could be so stupid. The Lord knows man's thoughts. They are meaningless. You can think and believe that you're getting away with something. Even as Christians, I know that, we always try to take the higher moral ground and whatever. But even as Christians, there's times we think we're getting away with stuff. We really do. We could fool our friends, we could fool our relatives, we could fool our neighbors. Sometimes we can even fool our parents. But we can never fool God. Sometimes we think that, we've gotten away with things. But here we're reminded that God sees what we're doing, God hears what we're doing, God knows what we're doing, and He will discipline us at a certain time. This is something that we have to be understanding of and realize. Because it's not just our actions that He sees and hears, but it's our very thoughts. He knows. He knows the attitudes of our heart. He knows our motivations of why we do something, why we don't do something. He knows what drives us. He knows everything about us, way deep into our hearts. And as Jesus said, if you've looked at a woman with lust, you've committed adultery. If you've got anger and malice toward the person in your heart, you've committed murder. It's not just our physical acts. And this is where we as Christians, children of God, really have to be careful. Because we may not do the outward actions as much as the rest of the world, but we have those thoughts. We have those heart attitudes at times, but we cover them up. People don't see them. but God sees them. So I would challenge you today to think about this. And don't be that stupid fool that the psalmist is talking about. Admit your sins, confess your sins, humble yourself before God, confess your sins, throw yourself on the mercy of the court, so to speak, confessing to Him, and allowing God then to deal with it. Allowing God to change you, to change your heart. You know, I would even go the extra mile and ask God to search your heart, because God knows you better than you know yourself. And God can show you things that you didn't even realize. And when you confess these things that He brings up to you, when you agree with Him that these things are wrong, when you allow God to change your heart, you know, you can have a peace, a contentment, a satisfaction with life that you could never, ever have without that. Sin, unconfessed sin, will burden you down, will drag you down. Confess sin that is forgiven, that you've dealt with, will not burden you down, because Jesus died for that sin and it's already been taken care of. If you've enjoyed this video, if it's encouraged you in any way, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave comments if you want. And may God always bless you.